Hello, welcome to week number 35. It's been another enormous, adventuresome week. Really, I had no idea that this would be where my life is 8 months ago, let alone 4 months ago. Had no clue. But this is where I am, and it's where I need to be. And because I know it's where I need to be, it is so much easier for me to handle the storms. There is such a tempest around me that if I didn't know this is where I needed to be, I would be really confused. I would be really upset and I would probably quit. But I know this is where I need to be, which gives me courage to know that I have help to understand how to overcome these storms, these trials. So a week ago, I was about ready to quit just because I was so frustrated about the double classes and snippy teacher, and it was just a very frustrating day, and I just had enough. And I just thought, this is just the beginning of the school year. How on earth am I going to handle all this pressure and all these kids that are behaviorally challenged in such a large class? The behavior challenged kids make it harder for the other kids to focus. And so because these kids are having their own little conversations with themselves or wandering around the room, it makes it really hard for other kindergartners or first graders to focus or stop talking. It took me 35 minutes to get through roll on Friday. Yeah, anyway, we're doing all these drills, so I have to make sure I know who's in my classroom, and I want to get to know their names still. So anyway, it was just very frustrating experience. Fortunately, yesterday I did homework for my certification program, which was more online observation. I had 5 hours of online observation to do, and I chose some Kodai classes for at least half that time. So I observed some online Kodai classes and had some really cool ideas. I'm so excited. Bring the kids in singing. Oh, who knew? Don't sit them down and start. Bring them in singing, and that way, and start the activity right. Start with that song as they come in and sing and do an activity, and then they're already engaged. Oh, nice trick, huh? So I'm excited about that little piece of newness. Yeah. Other things I'm excited about. Yes, I've just picked up some really good things. I'm looking forward to this week and what's going to happen. As you can see, my voice is hoarse because all those kids need to hear my voice, and it's not always quite enough to do that. So, yes, all of the school, all of the meetings, all of the homework, all of the stuff I need to do for my family, and my kids are picking up. I only had to cook dinner twice this last week, and it was very minimal. So my kids, yes, they're doing their jobs. They still need encouragement and figuring out how that works, but they're figuring it out, and it's going to get better and better. So during our lesson today at church in Relief Society, we talked about being in the tempest. Let's see if I remember the name of the talk. Christ-like poise. But it was talking about how to have poise in the middle of the storms, in the middle of a tempest, because when Christ was in the ship with his disciples in the storm, he was asleep. He was fast asleep, not bothered by the storm at all. But all of the disciples were panicking, and so I'll read what it says. In Matthew 8, I'm choosing Matthew 8 version. It's verses 23 through 27. And when he was entered into a ship, his disciples followed him. And behold, there arose a great tempest in the sea, insomuch that the ship was covered with waves. And in another section, it says the boat was full of water. But he was asleep. And his disciples came to him and awoke him, saying, Lord, save us, we perish. And he saith unto him, Why are ye fearful, O ye of little faith? Then he arose and rebuked the winds and the sea, and there was great calm. But the men marveled, saying, What manner of man is this, that even the winds and the sea obey him? They didn't understand the nature of Christ, who holds the power of God. They didn't have the faith or enough knowledge to realize that this didn't need to be a fearful situation. And so Christ is trying to teach us throughout the scriptures and through this example, we don't need to be afraid of the storms. He is in charge. All we have to do is recognize his hand in all things and know it's going to be okay. He's going to help me through this. We'll figure it out. So right now, for me, I feel like there's this big hurricane or tornado around me, things flying in the air. I've got my kids over here with all their stuff going on, my students, lesson plans, everything with school, all my responsibilities, even church responsibilities, everything flying around like mad, like going crazy. And I have the choice to get caught up in the storm with it and just be tossed about by everything and just drained, or I can step into the center where the calm is and recognize Christ has this. He's got this. All I have to do is make sure I stay calm. I hold my poise. Everything's going to fall into place. The storm will die down and everything will land safely. So that reminded me then of something that I read this morning in my personal reading. I finished Isaiah, and now I'm doing Helaman in the Book of Mormon. And this morning I was reading Helaman chapter 6. So when I read a chapter, I also read about that chapter in our church's Institute manual. And so this particular chapter in the manual, the Book of Mormon manual, has a special question for Helaman 6, 21, 26 through 31. It asks, what is the motive of Lucifer and his followers? How can that motivate us to stay near our Father in heaven? So reading those verses, the answer comes out in verse 30. It's talking about, in this chapter earlier, they're talking about the Gadianton robbers, who are kind of like the mafia. They have secret combinations. They join together and make oaths. Oh, we're gonna plot to do this, and you keep your secrets with us. We're gonna have our secret handshakes to make sure we know who each other is. So when we're in public, we know what the plots are, and we can keep each other protected. Because we don't see any kind of secret combinations in modern history at all, do we? Just people conspiring to kill, conspiring to overtake the government, and that's what is in the Book of Mormon. A lot of it is conspiring to overtake the government, and also killing. And they put a lot of judges on the thrones so that way they can have those specific judges take over the cases they need, so that they get the right judgment that they want because they've got that judge paid off. And then it's just a mirror of society over and over again, and it happens again and again. It doesn't ever end, because that's how Satan works. It's how he figures out how to conquer things. So the question is, what is the motive of Lucifer and his followers? And how can that motivate us to stay near our Heavenly Father? So in verse 30, it says, and behold, it is he, Satan, who is the author of all sin. And behold, he doth carry on his works of darkness, and secret murder, and doth hand down their plots and their oaths and their covenants and their plans of awful wickedness from generation to generation, according as he can get hold upon the hearts of the children of men. That's what he wants. He wants to get hold of our hearts. He wants to get hold of our hearts so that way he has power over us and we have no connection to God. It's working pretty well for a lot of people. But when we realize that that's the game, that's the trick, that's the game he's trying to play, he's trying to get our heart, then it's so much easier when all this stuff is thrown at us to say, I'm not going to play that game. I'm not going to freak out. I'm not going to panic. I know who's in charge. So I'm just really grateful that this is all put together today for me, because that's exactly what I've been going through, is this, all this stuff going on. So in the lesson, it was taken from the conference, last general conference talk, Christ-like Poise. There's a quote in a footnote by a famous, I guess it's by John R. Wooden. This quote, he says, poise means holding fast to your beliefs and acting in accordance with them, regardless of how bad or good the situation may be. Poise means avoiding pose or pretense, comparing yourself to others, and acting like someone you're not. Poise means having a brave heart in all circumstances. And that is the feeling I am holding at this moment. At this moment, I can't guarantee that that's like a permanent position. But at this moment, that is the position I'm holding, so that I don't panic. It's going to be okay. I'm so grateful that this whole day has been that lesson, this whole week, basically, because I had all this stuff thrown at me. Today is the answer. Be still and know that I am God. So the song that I've chosen for this is The Eye of the Storm by Ryan Stevenson, and I will send a link to that. Thanks for listening to my big long stuff, but that's what I've been going through, and that's what I'm learning. So have a good week.